let's go back from the very beginning, how it started, setting up the Somali Stock Exchange.
Right. So the idea, as you rightly mentioned, was to improve the Somali economy, surely. Right. And we have traded our first share in September 2015. Mm-hmm. So we are still at the very early stages of the business, if you put it this way, less than 3 years, all in all. And so all things have been slightly slower than we anticipated, and simply it is also to do with really us being careful about the way we go about this. What we mainly focusing on at the moment, or we have been focusing in the past couple of years, is to ensure that we have we set up the right foundations for the exchange. Once we get to a level where we are comfortable to accommodate large companies in the country and so on, it will be easier for us to scale things up, progress as quicker as we wish to.
Have you been able to persuade local companies to come into the bourses?
So at the moment we have 3 companies listed from various industries. So we have a logistics company, commodity company, and a technology company, mainly a distributor. The largest, the thriving sectors in Somalia, if I just mention quickly, would be finance, right, telecommunications, right. Infrastructure is also picking
booming,
up
right,
quite a lot, because a lot of people are coming back home, investing back home now that the country is relatively stable, is getting better by the day, by the year. So we have a lot of infrastructure going on at the same time. So that created a number of local construction companies who are playing big part, right, in the sector. We haven't had any of those on board yet. Mm-hmm. It's simply because, well, they're doing well as they are. Right. I don't know if you know the history about Somalia. If I can just touch base on it quite quickly.
Go right ahead.
So we've been trading shares for a very long time. I would say over 100 years. But the way it's done is simply, I would say it's informal. If you now look at the 20 largest companies in Somalia, you'll come to find that 95% of them are owned by shareholders. Right. Although they go by the name of the founder or the founding members of the company. Right. Now they're doing well as they are because they're getting a lot of investment from Somalis, from the Somali diaspora, and the way they do it is simply by introducing. If, for example, I have $10,000 US, I want to buy 10,000 worth of a share in that company. What will happen is that somebody will introduce me to the management of the company. Right. They see me, and because they've been introduced by somebody that they know, right, it's all kind of trust-based, really.
Hassan, allow me to bring you just back a little bit.
Yes.
You mentioned that you have about 3 companies that are listed today, one in the technology, another one freight logistics company, yes, and the other one was?
Is a commodity.
Is a commodities,
yeah,
right. But then you said that some of the, growing industries in Somalia,
thriving sectors in the economy,
include finance and telecommunication. What are you doing to lure this to come on the markets? Because that's where I want to see.
No, absolutely. So we held a couple of meetings, right, with the Chamber of Commerce, Somali Chamber of Commerce in all regions, and we had a discussion with those companies. They are very interested in coming on board, but there are a few questions that they ask, and one of it is disclosure, and another thing is the process obviously there's a process in place, there's a requirements. Although they do fulfill those requirements, they're not still convinced that this is the second step for them, the right step. And I think from our part, we have to do a couple of things. Educate the public sector, as meaning the government, the authority, which plays a big part in the economy, as you know. Right. Secondly, in also educate the investors, the individual investors, the Somali investors who are investing in those companies. And thirdly, also educate the companies themselves to show them and prove to them that they are much better off, going public now that they have shares in place, and some of them do require some sort of injection, right, for them to grow further.
So today I was speaking to an investment banker just a little bit earlier, and he was speaking about, SMEs, everyone running for SMEs to list on the stock exchange. And from his point of view, he's like, well, it's a zero interest market, really, if you look at it. So basically it would do great for them, but it doesn't really have a lot to do with their cash flows. So coming back to you.
Yes.
With all of this conversation going around about diversification, trying to see how to, grow your portfolio, is this something that you're looking into?
Well, ultimately, yes, because as you've heard, a number of the panelists at the summit today were talking about how can they attract SMEs, and it is simply because we are relatively small economies. If you look at the individually in all the East African countries, they are relatively small economies. The major players in the economy are SMEs. Relatively, they are mostly SMEs. And now, if you want to tap into the economy and make the most of any sector, surely you will have the major players in those sectors. The participants are SMEs, so you have to have them on board, and I think that's why so many people were talking about the SMEs, because simply because they already have the large corporate entities listed on the exchange. And so on. I
believe you've ever heard of an elevator pitch. I'm giving you 30 seconds to pitch to the people of Somalia to come on the buses.
Well, not only Somalis, anyone who is looking to make money, obviously, and to be part of a growing economy, we would welcome them. Surely we would start with the Somali individuals, Somali investors, whether they are locals or diaspora investors, a lot in Somalia. So I would encourage them to have to open their eyes more and look into the capital market of Somalia, get in touch with us, and also take part in our discussions, because we do run forums now and then.
Right. Thank you so much, Hassan.
Thanks for having me.